A long-term study of Hawaiian coral species provides a surprisingly optimistic view of how they might survive warmer and more acidic oceans resulting from climate change. Researchers found that the 3 coral species studied did experience significant mortality under conditions simulated to approximate ocean temperatures and acidity expected in the future. Up to about half of some of the species died. But the fact that none of them completely died off, and some actually were thriving by the end of the study, provides hope for the future of corals, said Rowan McLachlan, who led the study as a doctoral student in earth sciences at The Ohio State University. We found surprisingly positive outcomes in our study. We don't get a lot of that in the coral research field when it comes to the effects of warming oceans, said McLachlan, who is now a postdoctoral researcher at Oregon State University. While the findings are optimistic, they are also more realistic than previous studies, said study senior author Andrea Grottoli, distinguished professor of earth sciences at Ohio State. There can be a dip when they are faced with stressors, but after enough time corals can recalibrate and return to a normal state, Grottoli said. A study that lasts 5 months is only seeing part of the arc of the response. The research was published today, March 10, 2022, in the journal Scientific Reports. Rising levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere have led to warmer oceans, and about a quarter of the carbon dioxide in the air dissolves into the ocean, causing it to become more acidic. The samples were placed in tanks with 4 different conditions: a control tank with current ocean conditions, an ocean acidification condition, -0, 2 picohenries units, an ocean warming condition, +2 degrees Celsius, and a condition that combined warming and acidification. Results showed that warming oceans will hurt coral species. 61% of corals exposed to the warming conditions survived, compared to 92% exposed to current ocean temperatures. Of the coral that survived, especially the Porites species, they were coping well, even thriving, McLachlan said. They were able to adapt to the above-average temperature and acidity. For example, the surviving Porites were able to maintain normal growth and metabolism. The corals were put in outside tanks designed to mimic ocean reefs by including sand, rocks, starfish, urchins, crabs and fish. These tanks also allowed natural variability in temperature and pH levels over the course of each day and over the seasons, as corals would have in the ocean. When you're trying to make predictions of the long-term effects of climate change, it is important to mimic the real-world conditions, and our study does that, Grottoli said. We feel strongly that this makes our findings very robust. The findings regarding the 2 Porites species may offer particular hope for corals around the world. While this study does lead to reasons for optimism, it does not mean that corals face no threat under climate change. We don't know how corals will fare if changes in temperature and acidity are more drastic than what we used in this study, McLachlan said. Our results do offer some hope, but the approximately 50% mortality we saw in some species in this study is not a small thing. The study also didn't include local stressors like pollution and overfishing that may have additional negative impacts on corals in some areas, according to Grottoli. Other co-authors were James Price, Auguste Munoz, Garcia and Noah Weisleiter of Ohio State, Stephen Levis of the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, and Christopher Jury and Robert Tunin of the University of Hawaii at M. NOAA. About 30 Ohio State undergraduate students also worked on the study, some through Ohio State's second-year Transformational Experience Program. Funding for the research was provided to Grottoli from the National Science Foundation and the H. W. Hoover Foundation and to Jury and Tunin from NSF. Materials provided by Ohio State University. Original written by Jeff Grabmeier. Note: content may be edited for style and length. McLachlan, R. H., Price, J. T., Munoz-Garcia, A. et al. Physiological acclimatization in Hawaiian corals following a 22-month shift in baseline seawater temperature and pH. Scientific Reports, 2022 doi. 10. 1038 per second 41598, 022, 06896Z Ohio State University. Hawaiian corals show surprising resilience to warming oceans. 22-month study provides realistic conditions, scientists say. Science Daily. https://ift. tt. ul. ep. g3j. Accessed March 10, 2022. Please support my channel to grow by pressing subscribe button and the bell icon. We will notify you technological news. Thank you.